All right, so you kind of want to rewatch that shit right there. I don't know. I actually want to give everybody a little chance to re-roll back in here because that shit broke up based off the copyright shit. And I'm assuming that you just can't like play. I don't know. The free use thing is kind of tricky. You got to kind of look into that shit a little bit more. I was just kind of doing that for a second. I was looking into free use, and they don't really give you very much, but it gives you a decent amount. I mean, works off commentary, criticism, research, teaching, or news reporting might be considered fair use, but it depends on the situation. See, I'm thinking that it could be from the music earlier. It didn't necessarily tell me. I have to go into YouTube and look a little bit deeper, but that video didn't really tell me shit. Um, my last Let's Talk video, I could probably go in here and look at my whatchamacallit and just see what the fuck would have automatically done that to me. I mean, I said it don't really give me much to work on. But I'm assuming it's that. I'm gonna go to YouTube Studios real quick to see. I mean, I'm not even monetizing the video. I don't have monetization yet. I mean, and it's just interrupted. I'll see later on because it's an uploaded video. So if it's copyright, I'll find out then. I mean, I know it's copyright. Obviously, it is because they were talking about copyright being the reason that I can't use it. You know what I'm saying? But I was using it as a React moment. So I don't know if they did it because they didn't see as a React moment. I don't know. It don't have any channel copyrights. It's just ended the shit. So it's what it is. I want to understand the free use shit. Why couldn't I use this in free use? Kind of threw me off. Maybe it's something about lives. I don't know. It don't really give you like a breakdown of live on copyrights either. So yeah, not really much to work with, bro. Not really much to work with. Copyrights and fair use. Fair use is a U.S. law that allows the reuse of copyright protected material under certain circumstances without getting permission from the copyright owner. However, fair use is determined on a case by case basis, and different countries have different rules about when it's okay to use material without copyright owner's permission. In the U.S., works Okay, in the U.S., works of commentary, criticism, research, teaching, or news reporting might be considered fair use, but it depends on the situation. We created a YouTube audio library to help creators reuse content safely by providing free, high quality music and sound effects. So I guess you will use these over the free use. I guess I should have been playing music in the background, possibly, or some shit. I don't know. Um, In the YouTube audio library, you can find royalty-free production music and sound effects to use in your videos. Okay, we kind of already know that already. Music and sound effects for YouTube audio library are right safe. The audio library is found exclusively in YouTube Studio. So that's the stuff you can use in your video, but it doesn't determine how I can use something for use. I have to probably watch a video on something to find out how I can use it as for use. I'm sorry, not free use, but fair use. My bad. I'm on cap lock. All right, let's watch this video right here. She probably give us a
Hi, I'm Sarah,
breaky
here to
downy.
answer your copyright questions. Today's topic is fair use. first, what is fair use? Fair use allows you to reuse copyright-protected material under certain circumstances without getting permission from the copyright owner. Fair use is an exception to copyright law and is not determined by YouTube. Let me say that again. YouTube does not decide what is fair use and what isn't. Only the court can do that. What counts as fair use? Different countries have different rules about when it's okay to use.
Okay, based on what she was just saying, why the fuck was my stream interrupted by copyright if it was all fair use? I don't get it. If they can determine it and only the courts can decide, then why the fuck is my stream interrupted from watching the video, which I've seen several people do? They watch reaction videos and then some. As a matter of fact, a good example, the video we were just watching was somebody else reacting to somebody else. I'm watching reaction of somebody else reacting to someone else. So I don't understand what the issue would be.
Use material without the copyright owner's permission. In some countries, it's not even called fair use. For example, in the UK, it's referred to as fair dealing. Aside from what your country calls it, courts usually focus on whether your use of another person's song or video is transformative. Basically, they're asking if you added new expression or meaning to the original work, or if it basically copies the original. For example, in the US, content that might be...
That's funny, because he just explained exactly what I was doing. He's saying if you're adding a difference to the original footage, or if you're just directly copying something like as the same exact footage. Well, I didn't just directly copy the footage. I let the footage play as I did reactions, as I talked, as I laughed. This is all reactive footage. So under fair use, I'm following the rules. I don't understand why my shit got interrupted once again.
Considered fair use includes commentary, criticism, or news reporting. Also, keep in mind that just because you say something's fair use, give credit to the copyright owner, or add a disclaimer like no infringement intended, it does not mean that you're protected. How is fair use determined by law? Determining fair use is never a cut and dried process. In the US, fair use can only be determined in court by a judge. The judge will look at your case overall based on a few different factors. Here are a few things to keep in mind based on what the courts look at. You're less likely to qualify for fair use if your video merely copies someone else's and adds nothing else, if you're trying to monetize your video, if you're using fictional copyrighted material rather than factual material, if you borrowed a large amount of material rather than a small portion, if the main focus of your video is the copyright protected material, or if your use of the material harms the copyright owner's ability to profit from their original work. So, all of these are helpful factors to consider when thinking about fair use. But also keep in mind there is no guarantee that you'll qualify for fair use just because you take these factors into account. For example, just because you don't monetize your video, or if you only use a small portion of the copyrighted material, that does not mean you automatically qualify for fair use. Again, the courts look at everything holistically, and there's always a risk involved when using someone else's copyrighted work. Think carefully about all of these factors and get legal advice if needed. Companies are claiming just a few seconds of a video.
This wasn't a strike.
How is that not abuse? One of the biggest myths about fair use is that there's a minimum amount of time you're allowed to use someone else's copyrighted work. But despite what some people may think, there is no duration which you can use someone else's content that is automatically protected under fair use. In fact, courts have rejected fair use arguments for songs that only sample a few seconds of someone else's work. So if you're using any amount of content that you don't own, even a few seconds, you're taking a risk of receiving a claim or a takedown. You have the right to argue fair use, but only courts, not YouTube, can ultimately decide whether the use of someone else's content is protected under fair use. Because of this, our approach has been to empower creators to remove claimed content whenever possible if they feel that it isn't adding significant value to their video. That's why we've built tools to help you easily identify the content being claimed in your video and remove or swap out claimed music with copyright-safe tracks from the free YouTube audio library. We're also now requiring claimants to add timestamps to these claims so you know exactly which piece of your video is being claimed. We've also updated our editing tools so that when you remove the content manually claimed in your video, the claim is automatically released. restoring monetization to your video if you were previously monetizing. Why does my content, which is clearly fair use, keep getting claimed by Content ID? Automated systems like Content ID can't determine fair use, which is a subjective, case-by-case decision that can only be made by a court. While YouTube can't arbitrate fair use disputes, and automated systems like Content ID can account for fair use, this doesn't mean that fair use can't exist on YouTube. If you're a creator, you should avoid relying on fair use unless you understand how the rules work and you're prepared to defend your position through the Content ID dispute process and potentially the counter notification process. This forces the claimant to withdraw or to file a lawsuit. This isn't a decision that should be taken lightly or without legal advice, but it is the most powerful step you can take if you want to pursue a fair use defense and will force the most thoughtful review from the claimant. And that's it for fair use.
I love how she gets this full breakdown. I mean, it gives you a lot to like go off of. I think the only issue, like I said, is I feel like I'm fucking live streaming right now. I didn't do like just a straight uploaded video. Of course, that video uploaded itself after it was over, after the live stream was over. But I understand how YouTube can, copyright hit it for copyright and interrupt my stream for copyright if nobody determines what's copyright inside of it. If y'all just seen, I went to my studio's page and it doesn't show any copyright claims or anything like that. It just fucking interrupted my stream. It stopped it and it literally made me start the stream over. So I don't understand what the hell YouTube is getting at. Maybe it was the music from earlier or whatever, and if it was that, I understand that. I can get rid of that. Cool. I was just talking anyways over the fucking over the music. So if it's that, I have my own beats I can put up and play in the background. I just thought it'd be cool to have soothing beats and shit. But I'll just make my own. But yeah.
Check out more info in our help center linked in the description below, and be sure to check out the other videos in our copyright series linked here. Bye.
Okay, cool. At least she gave me some type of insight. It wasn't wasn't the whole pie, you know what I'm saying? But it was enough. It was enough to understand the copyright and fair use or whatever else. I just don't understand how YouTube fucking shut me down if that was the case. If that's what we're going off of. Like I didn't do shit to, like I said, unless it was the music. If it's the music, at least put that on my YouTube studios, which they did not. Maybe it takes a little second if I can go refresh and see. But if you go to YouTube studios, I don't have any type of notification or anything for copyright, which was my last video. This is my latest live performance right here. Stream ended 17 minutes ago, which was that video. It doesn't show any copyright claims inside of it. So, don't understand what's going on. Anyways, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go ahead and end this stream anyways, which is really just a restream. And that's cool. You know what I'm saying? That's a restream. But I think it was a pretty productive day. We talked about some stuff that people can use in everyday life. Maybe people with different opinions. I mean, everybody's opinion kind of came out the same way. And we had a little bit of entertainment at the end. So it was cool. Anyways, YouTube, peace out. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And